What's going on, guys? So a lot of you have honestly been loving my builds. I'm loving all the feedback that I'm getting. Our Discord is blowing up, our community. We're all talking about the builds. We're all theory crafting. So I do thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for all the support. Now, a lot of you have mentioned to me that even though the builds are helping, you still need a little bit of guidance as to what to do specifically in the lane, or more so how to lane. So let's check it out. All right, guys, so this video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to talk about the different stages of laning, or the different ways that you can lane in itself. And as the video goes on, I'm going to do my best to have some footage on the screen so you guys can get an example of what I'm referring to. But if anything, let's just get right down to it. The first subject that I want to talk about is last hitting minions. Now, as a laner, your bread and butter is going to come from getting the last hit on the minion. What does that mean? That means that just before the minion dies, you are the last person to hit the minion before it dies. Now, in Fault, whenever you get the last hit on the minion, you will get extra gold and extra experience. Last hitting minions is the for sure way to get ahead of your competition that's directly opposing you. Now, moving forward, when it comes down to it, it's not gonna be, you're not gonna be able to just last hit minions peacefully most of the time, especially towards the beginning of the laning phases, which is the most important part, because you're going to have other people that are there attacking you and trying to last hit minions at the same time. So it really does come to a song and dance that you guys are going to have to perfect. But I'll tell you this, there's several different methods that you can apply to not only last hit efficiently, but also control the lane where it goes. Now, the first one that we're going to go into is freezing a minion wave. Now, what freezing a minion wave means, you are not going to touch the enemy minions unless it is a last hit. So you're still getting your benefit out of it, but you are not lowering that minion's health any faster. I'll explain why that's a benefit. Because when you freeze the lane literally stays where it's at. Your minions do all the damage, you only take the last hit. So you are literally there just for the financial benefit at the end of it. When you attack a minion as fast as possible and then get the last hit, now all your minions, instead of focusing on 5 minions to damage, now they're focusing on 4. Then they're focusing on 3. Now you have 5 of your minions focusing on 2, which means the minions die faster, and as soon as all the minions die, what do your minions do? They're immediately going to run forward in search of the next objective, the next minion, the next tower, etc. So freezing the lane not only prevents you from getting ganked, it prevents you from being overexposed. You get to farm in a safer location, but you also get to capitalize and still continue to farm. And if anything, if you freeze the lane, that means that your opponent is more than likely going to be overextended, because the closer to your tower you freeze that lane, the closer your enemy has to be to your tower to still get experience and to still get last hits. By doing so, you then open up the possibility of your jungler coming in from the side and being able to help you out and get a kill. Now, moving forward here, let's go ahead and go into shoving the lane, the complete opposite of what we were talking about. Now, shoving the lane will have its benefit. I'll give you an example. Whenever you want at least one person in the enemy team to be distracted, whenever you want them, whenever you need somebody occupied in that lane so the minions don't hit the tower, that's when you shove the lane. That's when you kill the minions as fast as possible, and then you go do something else. A couple examples I'll give you. If you shove the lane and send your minions under their tower, now you can go do the raptors. If you could, because they're busy at the tower. If you shove the lane, then you can go to mid lane. You can go to mid lane, or you can go to one of the side lanes and gank them. you can capitalize and turn it into a 2v1, 3v2, etc. because you're not needed in your lane because your lane is already shoved. And if you guys ever see some of my gameplay, as soon as I shove a lane, I'm automatically rotating to help out an ally because this is a team-based game. You get where I'm coming from? So there are the benefits, but you need to be mindful when you shove the lane, you're losing out on farm and experience that you could be getting from minions. So the key factor is you're going to try and recover some of that farm and experience by going to another lane, by going to an objective and earning farm and experience that way. That's what you need to do in order to be able to successfully shove a lane, because if not, you're literally just setting yourself behind by shoving a lane. Now, which brings me to my favorite method, which is half freezing a lane. Now, if you guys watch my gameplay on Twitch, you guys are going to notice that this is what I do 99% of the time. What does this mean? Now, half freezing a lane essentially means you destroy the minions in the back, the range minions, as fast as possible, but you leave the melee minions to last hit. Now, by doing so, your lane will progressively push. You're still kind of shoving it, but you're kind of half freezing it at the same time. So you will still have your periodic pauses where you stop to get the last hits on the melee minions in the front that your minions are attacking, but you kill the minions in the back. So it is a more aggressive method, but it's also a more aggressive method to gain farm faster. Now here's the thing, and I'll explain why. Whenever you destroy the range minions and there's only melee enemy minions in the range, it opens up the opportunity to start a team fight with the enemies in front of you. The reason being is because whenever you start a team fight, whenever you hit an enemy that's directly in front of you, it basically comes down to the fact that the enemy minions are going to target you as well. So if I decide to drop a Gideon rock on the enemy in front of me, now it's the enemy versus me, but then also those minions are targeting me. So now it's my enemy, his minions versus me. The reason why I destroy the range minions first is because as long as the range minions are gone, the melee minions have to run and catch up to me to do damage. So as long as I'm constantly moving and fighting my enemy, I just turn that into a 1v1 until his minions catch up. And if I'm consistently moving, his minions don't get to hit me. I might be able to get a kill before his minions hit me. But if I start that fight with ranged minions with the guns still there, they start shooting me from a distance automatically. So I'm already losing health when the enemy hasn't even hit me. So I strongly recommend, if you're an aggressive player and you're going to be poking your enemy and you're going to be, you know, a constant harassing and trying to go for kills like I do in every single game, always take out the ranged minions first. It will come with a warning that you will be overexposed a little bit more as opposed to freezing the lane. It will open up fights, and you have to basically, it comes with a caveat, like you have to be mindful that if you're accepting this half freezing the lane playstyle, you have to get kills. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If you're half freezing a lane, you need to get those kills, because you are gonna lose out on farm by pushing a little bit too much. Not as much as completely shoving the lane, but you will lose a little bit, right? And every engagement that you do with the enemy that does not lead to a kill also leads to you losing farm. The benefits are going to be one out of the two. If you half freeze the lane and move forward, you either killed your enemy because of it, because you were setting up for it, and you get way more golden experience than you would have got from minions, or you got them so low, like 10% HP or something, to where it's a risk for the enemy laner to stay. By that enemy laner leaving to the base, grabbing more health and coming back, you're losing out on farm, but you're causing them to lose out on farm even further. So in a way, you're winning because you're setting your enemy back. That's why this is my favorite way to lane. Now, there are situations where, let's say, if your first tower goes down and the enemy has their first tower, Freezing the lane is a perfect example to maximize your farm, maximize your experience, maximize your gold, and not expose yourself because you don't have a tower there anymore. So there are going to be selective situations based on what's going on the map. Now, I'll give you guys another thing that's very, very important, and this is specifically once you destroy the enemy's first tower in front of you. Now, this is called setting the lane. What setting the lane means is you're going to go up to the wave of minions. You're going to only kill the ranged minions, and you don't touch the melee minions at all. I'll explain why. Whenever you off balance the waves of minions, you get 5 minions, the enemy team gets 5 minions, and they're going up against each other. That's what we call an even balance wave. Those two are literally going to clash against each other and never really progress unless influenced by a third party, because they're literally just 50-50 opposition going there. Now, as soon as you apply extra force, that means that your wave is now going to be in your favor or in the enemy's favor, depending where the force comes from. Meaning, if I show up to a perfectly balanced 50-50 wave and I kill 2 minions, now it turns into a 3v5. My wave is going to win, slowly but surely. Why do we do that and then leave? Because now, let's say 3v5, now 2 minions lasted out of that 3v5, but 2 minions on my side. Now my 2 minions start fighting their 5 minions, but now they got a backup of another 5. So now it's 7v5. And then because it's 7v5, then that's slowly going to turn into 3 minions that are alive. Now 3 minions get joined by another 5 minions, and etc. You start seeing this domino effect where more of your units survive than the enemy. And all in the meanwhile, because you set one lane, because you set one wave of minions, now you got 10-15 minions attacking your enemy tower, which means they have to send a hero in order to clear all those minions, in order to kill all those minions, because we already know that their wave of minions isn't going to be able to handle it. You can literally take a tower with only minions if you set the lane this way. But the overall strategic benefit is, if I set the lane closest to raptors and I set mid lane, raptors are now free because there's somebody that has to be distracted on mid lane, somebody that has to be distracted on the duo lane. At best scenario, now this fight at raptors turns into a 3v5. Since we have 5, they have 3 because they have 2 other people occupied. That sets it in our favor. The same thing for prime. If you're going to go for prime, you always set your lanes, not just shove them. You only shove if you're running out of time. If you're running out of time and you got to do prime like right now, you shove it to distract them. But the best scenario is going to be set all your lanes and then go for prime. By the time you're finishing prime, your minions are already pushing up on their tier 2 towers. At that point, they have to make a decision. Go contest prime and lose our T2s to minions, or save the T2s but they get prime. You're putting your enemy in a lose-lose scenario. That's why you set the lane. Now, the last thing that I do want to talk about is pulling minions in a fight. Now, if you ever find yourself in any situation, any part of the lane where your enemy's on the other side of minions, you are on the other side of minions. You each have minions in between you, but you find yourself in an unfavorable situation where somebody can come up behind you and kill you. By attacking the enemy with an ability or with a basic attack, you can effectively pull your minions, or what we call aggro. You can pull aggro on the minions. You remember how I was mentioning earlier, as soon as you attack the enemy, the minions are automatically going to target you. You can use that to your advantage to pull minions closer to your tower or closer to a more defensive standpoint so you can farm safer. So what you do is you walk up to the edge of the minions where they're fighting, you land an ability or land a basic attack on your enemy, and then immediately retreat. What that is going to cause is the enemy minions are going to follow you for about 5 to 10 feet, depending on the situation. Usually it's more around 5 feet on most MOBAs. Now, by doing that consistently, Now you just cause the entire enemy wave of minions to be all the way closer to your safer point as opposed to where you were before. Now that's going to take a little bit of song and dance, because if you're close enough to poke the enemy, they're also close enough to poke you. So you're going to have to dodge on some of those abilities while also landing them and backing up. That's going to take a little bit more song and dance, but that is also a method. Now guys, within these things that I've mentioned, these are basically 6 tips and tricks as to how to lane effectively. Hopefully this helps. Thank you so much for watching the video, guys. If you guys have any other tips and tricks that you guys would love for me to go over, I will be more than happy to do that for you guys. But again, thank you so much for all the support you guys have been showing. And as always, until the next video, peace out.